Hello, this is Eric with Solaris Studios in Houston. I am a corporate and business headshot specialist. Part of the process of creating a business headshot is the retouching of the image. So this is an image I shot just a few days ago. She's given me a release to use this image, and I'm going to show you how I improve this image. So, just removing some obvious blemishes to start with. And then throughout the video, I'll be showing a before and after of my work. And I do that normally just to see how far along I've come. Do I need to do more? Have I overdone something? I do have a little process that I do when I retouch, and that process usually starts with stray hairs because it is the most tedious part of refining an image. So right now I'm doing something called cloning. Cloning is telling the computer to take information from one area and put it in another, right? So as we look at this, the light is gradating darker to lighter. So when I'm taking pixels from one area, I can't take a darker area and put it in a lighter area. It immediately becomes noticeable. So you have to maintain the gradation when selecting, and it's not easy to do always. There are some tools that will help you, algorithms that help me out with that, but in other instances I just kind of have to manually do it with this clone tool. It's important to note that should you have me photograph your headshot here at the studio, immediately after your headshot, I'm going to invite you to stay longer and participate in this process. Watch the retouching so you can interject and say, hey, you've done too much here, or can you handle this? Can you take care of these stray hairs over here, or can you make my hair fuller, or any number of things that you must imagine I hear constantly. When retouching a client's image. But by having my client sit with me during this process, I can almost guarantee they're not going to have to call me and say, why didn't you address this issue? You did too much. I make sure my clients give me the final word before they walk out the door that they're happy with the way their headshot looks. So I would say from beginning to end, a client is here at the studio with me for an hour. Sit down and talk, do the shoot, pick out the best one, and then I retouch the image while they're here. Now I'm just looking for any kind of debris on the jacket. I don't care how much somebody rolls their clothing off, there's always debris on the jacket. So I'm going to go in and take care of it. Now, not all images have a lot of stray hair, especially if it's somebody like me getting photographed. I have hardly any hair left, right? So not much stray hair work to do on an image of mine. And digital cameras are just unforgiving. Professional digital cameras are just unforgiving, and they see everything. So I've got to come in and work on images like this. Okay, so now we've got stray hair and we have some ripples in the fabric in the jacket here. So let's take her two birds with one stone. Let's smooth all this out. Now you're starting to be able to see brush strokes that I've left behind, which I'm going to go back and clean up. When it's a complex change like this one is right here, you'll end up seeing brush marks, and you have to go back in and camouflage those brush marks. You know, the idea is to start off with a good image and then improve that image, and when I'm done it should still look like the client and nobody should know I've been in there. So we're adding something called noise. If I crank it up, it's obnoxious, but it can add just the right amount of texture into a retouched area to camouflage it. Yeah, good. Now let's go on to a different project here. Let's take care of these stray hairs in the shadow area, right? It's very busy, very busy. And this could be a really nice flowing line, right? It'll be one of the most important lines in the image. So let's make it stand out. If you're wanting me to create a headshot for you, I'm very happy to help you out. All you need to do is visit my website at solarstudios.com, and on the top of any page, find the Book Now button. That'll show you my schedule, my pricing. Everything's transparent. Everything's out in the open. Book me early enough in the day, and I'll deliver it the same day. No rush fee. That's a standard delivery time for me. Nobody ever comes to me and says, just deliver this whenever you want. I don't need this for weeks. It's always, I needed this yesterday. And nobody ever comes in the door and says, I love being photographed. Right? You just leave the rest up to me. And we'll create a very iconic image. A beautiful, refined, business headshot, executive portrait. At what point does the image transition from a photo into a portrait? "100% of my income has been made through the world of professional photography, and I have never taken a perfect photograph. It just doesn't exist." Now this is all got that little loop in there. That's distracting. And again, my clients sit with me while I do this work. Well, not always, actually. You know, one of my more popular products is going on location and photographing headshots, especially, you know, if somebody's got a team of 5 or a team of 10. Instead of getting all 10 of those people in a car and coming to the studio, I'll go to their office and shoot. But that means they don't get to sit and watch this process. Okay. So we've got my light is coming from left to right, striking the top part of her neck here, and then bouncing up and causing this reflection under here. We've also got a gap in her hair. We've got a bounce card over here, and that light is coming through the hair and causing this highlight to come down and this shadow. Right? There's a slit in her hair and the light is traveling through it. So we need to address that. Okay. It's going to get a little too dark and it's going to discolor it first. So at this point, most people call what I'm doing retouching, but this part of retouching I like to call sculpting, because I'm about to change very slightly. I'm about to change bone structure here. You know, I want to make sure that the image still looks like my client. And that nobody can tell I've been in there doing anything. Maybe a little scar right here. Okay, let's zoom out and see where we're at. A little bit of a repeating pattern in here. When you use a clone tool, you can sometimes see something called a repeating pattern. It's a telltale sign that an image has been manipulated digitally. And so anytime you see it, you've got to try to take care of that and destroy it. If you're watching this and you're a man and you're thinking about getting a headshot, I would suggest you get your headshot scheduled early in the morning. If a photographer is coming to your location and you have the ability to schedule your headshot, schedule it for early in the morning to avoid 3 or 5 o'clock shadow. Right, so you still have a fresh shave. And I normally suggest that when I go on location that they have multiple people. Number one, to try to book me in the morning and schedule them in first. And I generally try not to schedule my location headshot sessions on Fridays, because it can be a casual Friday and people can show up and they've forgot they're getting a headshot done that day. They didn't bring their jacket, they didn't bring a tie. I try to avoid Fridays. Really, Fridays are my day to push through any post-production I've got to get done or delivered. That's the last chance that week to get it out. So usually Fridays are down to the wire kind of things. Just smoothing out some of the splotchiness here and there. You know, my light travels from left to right, and so anything that has a raise to it gets a shadow and a highlight. And smoothing that out can be nice, but still keeping the pores on the face so it looks real, right? You don't want it to look plastic. Realism, idealism. Okay, we got a little shine on the chin here. Teeth are a little yellow. We're going to take care. There's a hair going through the lip here. Look at that. That's got to go. All right. First step is to make a selection of the teeth. Now I'm not going to change the brightness. Just going to change the color. If you change the brightness, you make the teeth too bright, they start to glow, and that looks over-retouched. Who determines what's over-retouched and what's not? My clients do, right? If you want no retouching, we will do no retouching. My personal goal is to make it as realistic as possible, because this is for business. I am a business and executive portrait specialist. I'm not doing lifestyle portraits, or I'm not making covers of magazines. I'm trying to make an authentic, professional headshot of an executive. And it should communicate here is an advancing individual in their career. Now, when I can photograph things on location or try to tell a story in a wind turbine field or in front of a tanker, I can do that as well. Where the retouching on those images just becomes huge. All right, so here we have stray hairs on the exterior. You notice there's a gradation happening here from dark to light, so I have to maintain that gradation. I can't just come in and clone information from over here and put it there. It's too dark. It's got to maintain the same tonality. Which is tricky. You've got to be able to do it fast. Because again, my clients are sitting there with me and they've got a busy day. Oop. When you get really good at using this software, to me it becomes like a musical instrument, but it's visual. And where a painter is always adding paint onto their canvas, I am sometimes putting things on and taking things off. Right, a painter wouldn't have painted the stray hairs first to start with, you know. Now these strays right here, these need to go. It's almost as if we had a hairstylist during the shoot helping us out. Pre-COVID, I would have walked up to my client and said, you know, hey, look, I'm going to use my pinkies and I'm going to adjust your hair in certain spots. I don't do that anymore. I don't go walking up and getting too close to the client or touching the client. That, yeah, no. It's just, I try to do it all from behind camera, and if there's a bunch of stray hairs that I could have fixed that I just can't get done in camera, well, that just means I got to do a little extra retouching, and that's how I've been overcoming COVID. You know, not that anybody's going to be looking this close at a headshot, but when all these small changes are done, you end up with something that feels very refined. For me, each headshot that goes out, that's a business card, you know, and the worst thing that can happen is my client doesn't want to show the image. That is the absolute worst result. There's a work ethic involved with this also. You see something you want to change. Is it too much work? Or do you change it? Do you do it? I do it. In front of the client. Okay, now we need to smooth up the edge of the jacket. Alright, so now you can see the smoothness of the arm of the jacket, thinned up the face a little bit, along with the shading I've done. Just a few more things and we're done. Gotta fill in this gap in this hair here, because it's distracting. I take my time retouching headshots. I realize that this image, the image I'm trying to create for my clients, is there to help accelerate their careers. It's not just put your feet here, turn your head here, a click of the shutter. I want my clients to be present through the entire creative process. These files are huge. You'll notice that all through this process, the brush strokes have been very smooth from brush stroke to brush stroke. We don't do a brush stroke and then all of a sudden I've got to wait 5 seconds. You have to have a large amount of RAM and some good processing power to keep the process going as smoothly as possible. I may leave that guy. I think we're about there. So there's still a little something going. This needs to be filled in, or this needs to be addressed. This Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're interested in having me create a business headshot for you, please visit my website at solarisstudios.com. On the top of any page, look for the Book Now button. Thank you so very much for watching. Keep safe.